There, it says it's on YouTube now. Let's check YouTube, make sure that our stream is live. I probably shouldn't be doing this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Don't tell anybody. We are live. Hey, look at that. All right, stop that. I want to send this to the person I said I was going to send it to. That's my Slack channel. Move that over here so you're not watching me type in private Slack channels. Anyway, that's sent. Lovely. So we've got a scheduling module in here where the organizations that use the Valet app can schedule their employees. And so getting there, it's getting fairly polished. I thought we had fixed that color. That's interesting. Oh, I was going to also tell somebody else this. All right, there we go. So this is how you would schedule somebody in the app. Okay, the color is right there. You know what? Let's actually do a quick color fix on that widget. I am going to find where we do that. That is the assignment widget, I think. So my preferred editor definitely is the VS Code. Mainly, I used to use Atom, I think, back in the day, and Kwrite. Ooh, that was something. Used Kwrite a while back when I was running Linux, but it's been a hot minute. All right, so now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of the calendar module itself. Before we get into the plan for today, I want to fix that, and I'm just familiarizing myself with where I put that. I remember the calendar page, and we have assignment create dialog. And let's see. All right, let's go into that. So the goal is to find where that little to word is and make sure that that wording is white on that dialog. We actually probably could get away with doing just text white here. And we are using Tailwind, and I love that it auto-completes inside the Tailwind class names, and it just saves so much time. That did not fix. Oh, it did fix it. Look at that. Love it when something is that simple and easy to fix. All right, success. All right. First things first, let's look at the plan. I typed this up on the plane last night as I was flying in from visiting family. Girlfriend messaging me. I must tell her that, yes, we are meeting for lunch. All right, that message is sent to girlfriend. Okay, made this plan on the plane last night as I was flying in from visiting family, and there's a lot of moving parts to it. The main thing is that we need a way for people to indicate their availability and request off. And availability comes in two parts. They're available or not available on a given day. Looking around at how other people do this. Ooh, my phone stand is weird. How other people do this, I've seen some good implementations that I'd like to copy. And since this is not brand new breaking ground R&D, I don't feel bad at looking at other people do it. And when it is brand new breaking ground R&D, there isn't other people's ideas I can look at. So I've been using Asana for task management, and I like reading Quora, yes. So Asana task management, Valet, and I made a note of, watch this video. I was making a note for an engineer. Here's the page. That's what I wanted to pull up here. So this is how they show it here and how they explain it. Preferred and unavailable, that's their words for it, and it shows up in their calendar as a line. This is their create UI, which I kind of like. Eventually I'll work on implementing that. Unavailable times, time off. They do a good job of managing that. Hot Schedules has a way of doing that as well. I don't like Hot Schedules UI as much. I can't say I'm a fan of this. I can't say I'm a fan of most calendar UIs, including quote unquote mine. So the calendar we're using here is full calendar. No surprise, I did not write my own calendar. Hi, Trent. You're a nerd too. Thank you very much. Big brain time. And this is what we're going to be working with. So for the administrative side, we're going to illustrate their availability on the calendar itself. For the employee view, the employee has a view that they can look at as well to see their schedule. And there's nothing published here. But this is embedded inside the native app as well. So I'm going to change this My Calendar tab to say availability. And that's where they'll be able to publish availability/request off, publish their availability. And for managers that use the employee app, so there's a hierarchy of access roles. So only a few people in the organization can access the administrative app over here. And for everybody else, including some of the managers, they'll access it through this, and we'll have the approval process here as well. Of course, managers can just look at the calendar directly and approve or disapprove. Administrators can look at the calendar as well. So that's the end state, is to go for something like what this app has done, these concepts, and integrate them into this app. So I've already I've already laid some groundwork. In the back end, we have a service that provides a set of database models. And they define the basis for what we do with the scheduling. That is our work assignment. That's the core of what is created here. That's a work assignment. This collection of work assignments at a given location is called a work schedule. A work schedule, and the given location is, well, ironically enough, called a work location. Work locations can be tied to a service area. And let's see, do work schedules have a department code? I forget. Work schedule repeats. They do have a time department. So time departments are ways of indicating which shift this is in a repeatable nomenclature. They're also used for time clocks, clocking in and clocking out to a specific department. That's related, tangential, separate concept. So we've got the live operational publishable data, that is when they're assigned to work, but we've added a model alongside that for work availability. This is a model I created a couple of years ago, back when I was doing a different business. You can see the Git Blame has been creating this 13 months ago, but I've been modifying it and updating it, and might still modify it depending on how I feel as we go today. And then the request off. Actually, you know what? I am very curious to see how this will work. Because I want to clarify something with a good friend of mine. Let's see here. So one of the management that is helping give recs from the other company that's using this says that we need to be able to multitasking here, and we need to be able to approve or deny the work availability, which to me, that's a bit odd, but I want to clarify that with him. But obviously the work request off, by very definition, is a request. I need to update these status strings. All right, so let's broadcast huddle. I don't know if I can bring them live as a guest. I'm going to pull them in the Slack huddle. All right, let me pull up a huddle with this gentleman. Trent, my right-hand guy in the Valet space, just really good, smart guy. Huddle, let's start a huddle. All right, there's Trent, there's me, waiting him for join. And while we're waiting for Trent to join, let's look at the rest of this. So the plan, all right. Okay.
While we're waiting for Trent to join.
Can you hear me?
So the plan, that's such a fucking podcast.
Trent, mute your mic, or the stream or whatever. You there? Trenton.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you now.
Can you hear me, bud?
I can hear you now.
Perfect.
Yes. All right. Austin was saying that he wanted to be able to approve or deny availability. I mean, obviously approve or deny request off, but why was he wanting to approve or deny availability? Can you give me insight on that?
That's actually we wouldn't approve or deny availability, right?
That didn't
Just
make
request
sense.
off.
Yeah, that wasn't tracking for me because he was highlighting how hot
So
schedules.
whenever
What's that?
Okay, yeah. So whenever somebody does an availability change,
Yeah.
we do want the to be able to approve that change, just so that we're in the loop and we know that they're changing their availability. Because if
No.
people are just doing it on the fly and changing their availability for not being able to work for 2 weeks, that's something that we need to approve because people can't just say, I'm not going to work for a month.
Okay, approve.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I can see. I definitely see the use case from that. It's just, it's just interesting to me. We call that availability, where that's almost like a request off. It shouldn't be.
So the way that
Yeah.
availability is it's a little bit different than request off. So the way if someone wants to request off for 2 weeks, they can request off 2 weeks, right? But if they're changing their availability, that's saying that I can't work on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and that's going to be indefinitely until they change their availability.
Right. They're saying they can't work.
So that's not going to be a request off per se, because if you're requesting off, that's for a finite set of days for your availability.
I get that. I'm trying to figure out like if they're
like if you have a second job or something like that.
Yeah, but that's indicating they can or can't, but they still could be scheduled for that. But to block scheduling, they have to request off and get approved, right? Or are you saying that availability is used as a hard stop, not a soft stop?
Yeah, availability is kind of like a hard stop. So a good example would be, especially in the valet industry, a lot of people do have second jobs, or like especially like our overnight guys, they can't work in the AM PMs because they're actually working their other jobs for those times. So for these availabilities, when they have availability changes, that means essentially that we're not allowed, like it won't give us the option to really schedule them unless. Like we still could. It's not like a hard stop. Like if we call them and say, hey, are you able to work on this day? We can still schedule them to kind of override their availability, but it'll still show that they're not available to work those days. But we can still override that and schedule them to work on a day if we just have like a one-off if they can just help us out.
Okay, so you still do want approval for changes to an existing availability, but when they first create the availability, that doesn't need approved. Is that what I'm hearing? Or if
are you saying when they first create?
Yeah, because you said you want them to approve changes to the availability, but yeah, you could get around that just by deleting one and creating a new one.
So when we first onboard them, right, and they pick their availability, would that need approval first time, or would it be any changes to the availability after the fact?
Yeah, so whenever when they set their availability, it's already been pre-discussed, and we're doing that in orientation.
Exactly.
So that doesn't need to be like they wouldn't need to be approved. It's approved
when they get signed up. That makes sense. Yeah. So that would work like that. Essentially, your first time choosing your availability is kind of what we would do in orientation itself. So when that first one kind of already being pre-authorized, right? Because that's what we're setting up in the first place.
If you're putting it in as an administrator or a manager, obviously it wouldn't need approval. But even if they're putting it in themselves the very first time, it would still send it to you for approval, but you would know you just discussed it with them. You could still just approve it. How would that be for slicing the line?
Yeah, that would be perfect. I mean, there's no issue with us needing to approve the first time that they go through it because we already know and discussed it anyways. So that's not an issue, especially if it's easier to do it that way.
Well,
that will cover all the bases for any company.
I'm trying to slice is what's the first time? Like the very first day they're created.
First time would be the first time when we onboard them.
Right, but there's no clear technical definition in the system of what's first time. Because I mean, a lot of guys have been in the system for months and they've never put in availability. So
true. So we don't have to have a first time thing. We can just have it straight on the board. Anytime that we do an availability, it's always a request for approval.
Alrighty, cool. That solves that. And then obviously, if a manager puts in availability for somebody else, it doesn't need approval. Like a
Correct. Yeah. If you have
manager or an
administrative access, you should be able to override everything like normal. We should be able to do whatever we want. If we want to do it, it should essentially already be approving it because it flags that it knows that an administrator is the one that set that.
And that's just location manager or administrator, right? Or just administrator.
For now, I would just do administrator.
All right, cool. That's easy, yeah. Because who's going to be? I guess that does bring who's approving it. Is it location managers that do the approvals, or just administrators too?
It would be admin. So essentially, like for our company, for example, it would be me and Austin would be the ones that would approve it, and we have administrator access. So
just
unless in the future we have reliable location managers to do that, but the thing is that needs to go up the chain to the top for those approvals. We can't just have a location manager be like, oh yeah, you can have these days off. We need approval from the guy that actually makes the schedule.
That changes the requirements a little bit, because I was going to put the ability to approve or deny request for a request off in the app. But if it's just administrators, then I'll just leave it in the admin portal. That's easy enough. We can always change that later.
Oh man, I wonder.
Because you can get to it as an admin in the app. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just the guys that don't have access to the admin part of the app.
Yeah, correct. But I'm only saying this because this is for our company, but maybe for other companies, they might want a location manager or someone that doesn't have all of the access that an administrator has, still have the availability to be able to do that. But for our purposes right now, it could just be for administrators only.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that wouldn't be a set in stone thing. I can see how other companies would want a location manager to be able to do that. But our company, I don't see us ever doing that just for our purposes.
That's a good note. Okay. I think I've got all the info I need from you on that, and that clarifies that confusion I had around the approval stuff. So I appreciate it. I'm going to get to coding because I do have a hard stop here at 2:15. So I'm going to get back to it.
Perfect. I'll let you get to it. I'll talk some more shit in chat for you.
Feel free. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.
All right. Let's do the huddle there. So availability, that makes a lot of sense. Now you see why I love Trent. Thank you, Trent. So we're going to pull back up the repeat schedules, request. Now, the real struggle I'm having here is, do we make the approval process some sort of generic model? For the sake of time, I'm not going to do that one, do we? Or do we make a request off part of the availability? Yeah, because it is a bit weird to have two models when we're doing approvals in this one. Not in this one, wrong model. I'm just thinking, I'm staring at the screen and thinking. I think we don't need the request off model as I'm thinking about this. I think we can make this into the availability model. In fact, I might just gut the availability model since I created 13 months ago and use this. The big difference here of the availability model is it has this rendered from and the repeat rule concept, so you can schedule things to repeat. And I might not implement that in V1. I might do that in V2. We'll see how much work that is. It's certainly something to get done this next hour. I think I'm going to deprecate or remove this, even though I just created 3 days ago, and move the status stuff and availability stuff over here. Yeah, I'm going to really mess with this here. So nope. Okay. Pending. Are these good statuses? Draft. Requested. Approved, denied. I'm not sure about canceled, but I guess we'll go from request to canceled. Date time, who did that? Okay, this is all this repeat stuff here. We'll keep that. I don't like, I think we will have this as a top level thing, but I don't like this enum. I'm gonna remove that. And let's make this, what was the words they use? I like the words they use on this. Preferred unavailable. Yeah, those will be the enum values we use, or some variation there. And then we can translate those to title case strings. We do have a utility a long time ago, to title case, that does this translation of, we'll easily map that to request. So don't even worry about that. And I'll need to codify this somewhere. So we have a work schedule enums. One thing I've done in this app is expose a shared folder which has a bunch of shared isomorphic files, for the most part, that can be imported both in the client and the back end. So for the Valley project, we have just gigantic 1,000-line enumeration that does a lot of common things, enumerates statuses, that sort of thing. So we will probably need to start something like that for the work schedules thing. So actually, let's copy that. Yeah, that's good. We don't need billing in here. Notice we import config public because that's sanitized, so it doesn't expose keys. Availability statuses. Was that what we called it in Valley Ops? What we called plural statuses? I don't remember. Status. Yeah. Statuses is weird. Draft. Yelp. Pending. Yelp. What were the things we had? And the thing I love about VS Code, again, we can split right. Wrong group. There we go. And it just dumps it over there. It's great. So, where work schedule enums, we have that requested. Nope. Requested. Yeah. I like that. Approved. And notice, GitHub Copilot's done a great job of auto-filling in the stuff. Denied and canceled. Love it. Okay. And then we also have other things. So we have preferred unavailable, and then request off. Fix that typo. And I do like VS Code's spell checking built in. This ESLint doing the live checking of the code. It's just absolutely wonderful. That was an old thing I did long time ago. That. This is a great little thing because it helps me make drop downs. I don't know that we're going to need drop downs, but we're going to fill this in anyway. Type options. That's for types. We will definitely not. Let's do statuses first. Status options. Show. Now let's just put that to right. So then we can have this part of the file invisible as we work. So availability status draft still not submitted. Let's do a bulk replace of this and replace with that. That's great. And this is requested. I just cannot get that E. Great. Come on, Copilot. Thank you. And then finally denied, not finally, but almost there. fill in. Thank you. And then one more, canceled. I typed today, apparently. I, the employee. Love it how Copilot's like reading my mind. It's quite cool. All right, now we want to copy this, make one for available types. These are just useful translations of the statuses to the various descriptive strings, even though we might not use them in the UI, but I'd rather have them and not use them than come up later and, oh, I wish I had typed that up while I was thinking about it. So that is what I'm going to do right now. Unavailable, thank you. Fill that in, please. Thank you. Request off. Oh, who in the world? We need to block that. Comments. Huh. 720p. Thank you, Amish. That is not enough to read the code. Well, I apologize for everybody who cannot read the code. That's zoomed in just a bit more. Thank you for saying that. And I'll have to get back to figuring out how to block that guy on Twitch, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So I have a bunch of screens here you can't see. There's one there, one there, one there. Phone, iPad. So multitasking. I tend to do better at not ping. So I've gotten to doing work blocks where I turn my phone down and ignore people like Trent and focus on code, but when I'm streaming, it's hard to do that. Let's see, denied, request off, so back to code. You actually probably understand more than you think, Trent, but so these transitions, and then there's a question of, is this more of work? Taking it more time to do stuff that won't really be useful. This will probably be useful to do. So defining where it can go. Good, thank you, Trent. Yes, the colors are pretty. Do you like dark mode better? Let me know. I go back and forth. And really the only time I use dark mode anymore is on planes at night when I'm coding, because otherwise people glare at me when it's white and bright, and most of the time I'll say, deal with it. So where can draft go? Draft can go to requested or canceled. And then request, and you can recognize a lot of these are the way we do it in the Valet module. It just helped to codify how the statuses can transition. The ticket module does use the status enumerators to figure out where are valid, and it actually does throw errors if we ever don't do the right thing. If the status does not appear in the enum, you can see a lot of other things. I'm not going to bother filling in all this other stuff. Some of this was a holdover from yet another thing that we did. The rest of this stuff, a lot of codified enums, pretty colors. Don't need any of this stuff here. Wait, what? I need to check something new. I just saw something that shouldn't be undefined from the Valet module. So let's look at that. I saw stripe right, and my phone keeps. I need to fix this phone stand. It keeps drooping on me. It sounds like a U problem. I know. Stripe right. So it imports there, exports there. So what it was undefined. Not worth figuring out right now. Yeah, what's not undefined there was, I saw something that caught my eye when I was defining this code. So this is exportable enum, so clients can use it as well as the backend. So now we can say, go away. Yeah, availability. I do not like the availability. That's just such a long word to type. Probably copy and paste though. Yep, that's right. Okay. That moving on down the module, that what is this? Derive. See notes above. I don't remember what I was doing with this That's the problem when I write stuff 2 freaking years ago. 114, 2021. Okay. I will leave that there and comment it out till I come across where I was using that. And we do want title and comments. Do they have title and comments in their thing? Time off. Just comments. All right, let's just instead of name. Let's do, in case we ever do a calendar sync, which I don't recall. I know I've got code that does sync with calendars, but never made it over to the availability side of things. So let's do this. Okay, just recording the decisions and this is an example where even if I am very good at commenting, sometimes I will still look at the code and go, what was I thinking? Again, 2 years ago. That makes sense why. Can't remember. These will created at, I think this is automatically populated by the underlying ORM. I'm going to still put this here. And date start user, date start, date end. How to do it for assignment? We do the date start, date end. Okay, cool. That's good. That's good. Date start username. That. Date start user type. Yeah, that's good. So let's check our indexes. Indexes are important for querying, making querying performance, but we also don't want to overload it. And keeping in mind that we remove some of these things. I need to figure out what I was doing with that. So let's do this. Let's remove the request off. Make sure we have available. Yeah, sure, that's a good prefix. So our database ORM, an ORM that I created long time ago, is called yes for yet another stupid simple ORM. Or super simple, not stupid simple. And I'm still maintaining it's still heavily used. It provides ID create access, or we have implemented that in our shared base. Yes, we did. Share, where we read the object ID prefix, and then we started out by hard coding the prefixes for tables before I added this object ID prefix in the schema. Anyways, what it does is it creates a simple object ID using nano ID. Love nano ID, it's great. And I love the idea of object prefixes, not original to me. That was something I've obviously picked up from Stripe, which we all know and love. Makes debugging problems and reading data so much easier than just an obtuse set of UUIDs. I'm not a DBA. I don't pretend that I've properly implemented this in the database scheme or optimized it, but so far, no big problems. I probably should hire a DBA to look at the setup. But right now, that is a future me problem, not a present me problem. So our nano ID, we've customized the alphabet, done the collision ID tests, and then we expose a custom nano ID. This 25 character length is explicitly set because I've set the ID column in yes to be 36 characters, and that gives us 6 characters approximately for the object name prefix. Most of the object name prefixes are much shorter than that. This is a 5-character prefix. All right, so we don't need request off. We didn't do anything interesting in this module. Remove that. And so let's look at the availability core code. those types were previously used as the enum. We need to import ability. Come on, ES Code, pick that up. Thank you. Yeah. Sometimes it gets slow. I guess with 500,000 lines of code to work through, it makes sense. So we got that. And then tell ESLint to stop worrying about no unused undefined, because I don't like those red squigglies unless it's actually a problem. I don't mind undefined code in here. I probably should eventually, or unused, not undefined, unused. Blah, 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 blah. So this is a standard thing. The standard string file, less standard, but still useful. Date start, type, request off, and just do that. Let's do this, to title case, because we now know that those types we've created, thank you, that was way too long, are in camel case. So wow, our ES code has taken a while to update that. All right, is available. This is where we start to get to interesting stuff. Intersecting, filter that. So is available, we start doing that with that. Intersecting date start, normalize inputs. That was something I was doing a while. I really never got hype on that. Yeah, I'm not really liking this code right now. I'm going to make a copy of this, drop it over there, and just start gutting this so I don't get bogged down and filtering through old code. So that and that and that is just generic CRUD stuff. This is a nice little query. And so we were doing service type back in the previous model. Don't need that, but we do need to filter on type. Come on, give me back that. Thank you. Nice try, but we're going to do that. Type and type. I don't like. I want big equals. Hello. I think I was doing some sort of dotted notation to have multiple, whatever. Doesn't matter right now. Here's where I was testing the repeat stuff. All nice and good. We indexed the class for other uses. All right. This is actually going a lot slower than I planned it to go. And we've got approximately half hour left before we can keep going, before we got to stop. All right. Next. So we've got the basic modeled data model here. Stringify, not really important, is available. Interesting little utility. I'm not sure I'm going to use that in the future, but we'll keep that here for now. Oh, we need to check this. Request off. Oh, that's right. I was filtering that, so I don't necessarily need. The type is going to be only useful if it is request off. Let's see. Exclusive, inclusive. That's right, inclusive, exclusive, only these times. Inclusive, exclusive was only these times. There's something going on over there. Interesting. Yeah, I don't, that was for a different type of setup. Only these times. I guess I would map to preferred. Exclusive would be unavailable. Yeah, this is good. I was like, why was it returning true down here? Because it shouldn't be. All right, but that's better. Let's see. Will ESLint allow me to go away with formatting myself? It's just because my text is zoomed in. It really shouldn't be this much of an indent like that. All right, that's good. All right, let's get out of this spot here because right now, well, actually, let's add one change status method. So set status, change status. Yeah, let's go set status. Set status. Status message. Actor. Yeah, let's do that. going to remind myself what our fields were over here. You always have a comment, just because we may never use it, but it's better to have that again and not need it. So that's not required, but the status is. So required. Then I import. Come on, AS Code, get rid of the program. Thank you. Wow. Yeah, that's good. That's good. And force is false. Okay. Because force will allow us to bypass. So let's see first. We need to make sure it's a valid status. Complete, please. Thank you. That's good. Not abilities status transitions. Thank you. This current stat, let me pull that in. Status. Throw in here, please. Thank you. And here's where we pull this. Great. Okay, that enforces the must be valid status, and this is a valid status transition. Oh, yeah. If not force. So we can only force it to accept an invalid transition, not an invalid status. Okay. Now we can patch. Const patch equals status. Status by accurate, non-status add. And then yeah, we do want a status reason, and the reason I'm going to do this here, even if it's undefined, is to erase any previous status message reasons, because if we set the status to something in an old reason there, it just would be confusing. So that will patch the status to do send notifications leaving for future work block. Again, defining our day in terms of blocks. Right now I want to get a bigger part of the flow done. And I'm going to have to stop here in about, about 20-ish minutes, 30-ish minutes. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make myself some more tea, take a short break, and play some lovely little music here. So hang on for a second while I grab some more tea, and I'll be right back. Thank you for waiting. I just realized that I'm laundry going, so I'm going to have to actually stop coding a little bit earlier to fold laundry so I can get out in time for lunch. All right, let's see what we need to get done. Let's look back at the plan. Move my calendar, yeah. And yet again, more distractions. Stop looking at your notifications, Josiah. All right, so I'm just going to start hacking at this and see what we can get done. So the availability, first we need somebody to load and list it. Resources, blah, 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 blah. These being your resources. Let's do the employee side first. So let's, I created some endpoints a while back. That's interesting. It's not called that anymore. That's good. So it'll still do that. Give it a bit of a list. We don't use labels on availability. I must have forgotten to update that. We apparently have never done this before. Never used this route before because those would cause errors because that's not in the join. Excuse me. Wow. User binding. What? They do bulk replacement with this. Sheesh. So, user, yep. So now we're just adding in the changes to the select. I love this little ESLint, not ESLint, this plugin that does the ES6 string highlighting. Add that SQL tag before that, and it just is great. Status name. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's call that assign.status by. Join that name in there, and then take this as of course. And really, that all the SQL tag does is just enhance readability of the code in the editor for me. Name. Okay, thank you. I think that's all the things we need to cross-link. Yeah, I'd go into the with page to query helper, but I'm not going to bother explaining all that right this second. Let's do the where SQL. Got proper tenant join. We always use soft deletes in our models, and it's always this is deleted flag. So that's good. Why would we show deleted? I think it was something I was doing and just not thinking. Do we need a type filter? No, we don't. SQL sort, that's fine. We'll leave that there. We may come back and decide we need a type filter. That's okay. We'll leave that here for now. The real trickiness gets into the upsert part of the thing. I'll tell you why. Because upserting, this is a generic service on the back end, so it can be used for any apps, not specific to the Valet app, the availability side, the work schedules module. However, the editing and modification data often has app-specific rules, like we were just talking about earlier in the stream. The rules around who can modify it and who can change things and set the status, that sort of thing. And so the struggle right now is to decide whether we should put the bulk of the code here in the work schedules module or put the bulk of the modification code sorry, distracted again. Hello. In the Valet module, which is where we're first going to expose this. Let's see, the expose, that's that. Here it is. So the exposure of the availability will happen in the Valet module for the first time, but could be used generically speaking in other locations. For now, I'm going to follow the convention of upserting assignments and upserting schedules. Leave this in here until we come across friction. I'll decide how to handle that. So upserting availability. Who upserts availability? Typically will be an employee, although sometimes it will be an administrator. Status changes can only be done by administrator. We need a dedicated status change route. Yes, no, yes, no. Yeah, we're going to use a dedicated status change route. So this will not upsert status. So the only upsert will change time status is draft. When we upsert draft, then we won't change it if we're creating it. If we're not creating, okay. Got it. All right, leave ID prop. Let's go down the list of fields again that we're using here. So we is deleted, that's good. User ID, yeah, that's all well and good. Date start, date end, all day, it's Boolean. Comments from the person doing it. We're not going to allow them to set status test specify repeat rule. I need to figure out what I'm doing with that in the UI. That's future me problem. Is rendered instance that'll be set on the back end. All this stuff will be done fine. Whatever. Remove those fields. Name again deprecated, not needed. Standard prop passed in from our web framework we're using, Express, layered on with some other custom code. Resolving the user, that's all well and good. Here's where we see if the availability exists. Included that. Again, this is protection for dumb client side stuff. I'm not going to do that. Oh, we will. Hello, that is our standard create method from the ORM. And here's the only time I'm going to do that. Work availability. Ability stat. Come on, import. Thank you. Draft. Sir, I want to buy officer and status reason. Okay, that. You know what? We're just going to leave that blank because we don't need a reason on draft. Is there anything else we need to create? Status comments all day. It's false. That defaults to false. Date start, date end. I'll be set down here. Type. I'll be set down there. Can we change types? No. Not gonna let them change types. Okay. That's that. Now these are our entries. Now this is an old convention I was doing where we're doing just plain old entries. I want to move to a. What do you have? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, for the most part, we consider anything that's not Boolean as true false. A string, for lack of a better term, although we do some date specific things here. Let's see here. So props we pulled in are all this. Split right. See how often we use that? That's just such a wonderful thing to pull that some piece of code or reference over there. So the user, that's resolved user, date start, date end, repeat rule, type not changeable. All day, yeah. Comments, sure. Should they be able to edit this after it's been marked pending? So let's reason through this. So they enter it with the upsert as draft and do whatever they want to that. Once it moves to requested, what can they change? Requested, approved, denied. Basically, any editing should mark it as draft again with a big old warning, I think. Yeah. And then they have to submit it, resubmit it. So we can let the status explicitly back to requested when they submit. How do I want to do this here? Because we're layering on rules on top of just basic database CRUD. So the database CRUD, that's all well and good. All right. Database CRUD's all well and good. Calculating minutes, bools. Oh, all day. That is a bool on that. We have to treat the bools differently because if we just do this Boolean value check, it will not obviously pick up falsy things, but and if we mix bools in here, empty strings, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, think about it. So here's where you assign that, upsert that, do the patch updated by. Oh, good call. Thank you, Josiah. Good thinking. Created at the day, created by auth user. Forgot to update that. All right, that's all well and good. Now, what are the rules around the statuses? Let's add a new flag. All right, so here's what I'm thinking with this. If they upsert this, a brand new one, immediately goes to draft. Yeah, you got that. If they upsert anything that's not draft, and this is false, and they're not an administrator, then and that's false, then we throw an error. If they upsert and they're an administrator, they can change the times. In other words, edit the availability, but for whatever reason. And with that false, if it is in requested state. Once it's approved or denied, nobody should be able to do anything unless they hit submit requested, because then that'll just move it right back to request, which tells me I need to go update the transitions. Yeah. Split into left group. Thank you. No. This is the file I was seeing there, and I thought, well, no. Transition. So anything can go to requested, I think. Yeah. So we have to go from approved to already requested. We need to open up that transition so we don't throw errors if we go from there. That can go there. Requested can go to itself, I guess. Why they would do that, I'm not really sure. Yeah. Okay. Let's put this back over on the left so we can reference that later. Okay. Now that we've reasoned that through, let's check this. Okay. Then we also need to get, so secure. I've been saying security level a lot without telling you where we're getting that from. Another property of the authorization is tenant user. That is the settings for this user in this tenant is a tenant user. Tenant user has a property on it called security level. Security levels are defined in that shared folder, and we're looking for somebody that is an administrator or super user. And so what we want to do is say, okay, if current status n equals availability status, come on, please, thank you. That was bad spelling. Availability status. Thank you. Cannot modify availability status for anything. That's well and good, but let's check the security levels. If, I don't know, we mean array. Yeah, that's what we want. That includes. I know we need to fix the imports. Let's do that. Thank you. Security levels come in import, please. Import any day now. Thank you. All right. So if not inclusive. So if the status is not in draft and you're not an administrator, then throw an error. If or current status n equals availability status. So if we need to get that availability status requested in here. We are just having the hardest time with the spelling of availability. That's a lot of just weird repeated typing. So even if they are administrator and the status is something other than requested, in other words, approved, denied, or canceled, the administrators won't even be able to modify that. But they can go back and change status. Administrators can force a status, so that's a different route. So here's that. So this is the guard that stops people from editing things. outside of these statuses. Okay, I'm happy with that. What happens if they are that? It falls through. If they are not draft, you know, we don't need this embedded if and that. Yeah, that'd be good. That works. If it's not draft and they're not, yeah, no, that's good. We need a self-contained that or, but it reads funky with this indent. So let's move that or block up here. There we go. It's not draft and it's not requested, or they're not administrators. If it's not draft, but it is requested, This is not, it's easier to reason about if it is embedded if. So if it's not draft, if it's requested, all right, so if it's not draft, we're going to hit here. Okay, if they're not administrator, let's do it like this. Let's just simplify the logic. We'll have it's two throws. So if they're not draft, if they're not an administrator, else, if. So we know they're administrator because we fall through here. Oh, drats. We should destructure this anyways. It makes more sense. All right, security level, that matches that. Reasons out logically. Lovely. All right. So this route is good for now, but now we need to change status availability route. We're going to use this as our template change. Okay. You'll notice the props mirror roughly what our model has on it. I'm going to pull our model over here. Set status. I know that we change it. We'll mirror the naming of the route just for reasoning's sake. Work. Huh. That. Huh. I need to change the class name. Wow. Okay. Yeah, apparently back up once upon a time I called it schedule availability instead of work availability. I think I did that back then and then decided to change that. Let's see if that modifies my imports or breaks a whole bunch of stuff. That should have changed the utility for me automatically. Availability, but yeah, it did. Lovely. Aha. See? Evidence of the old name there. Put that there. Cool. Back to yep. All right, I think we've got change status. Okay. Status message actor force. So we're gonna resolve this. Yeah, I like the ID prop better. No. For non-upsert routes, I think I do like the named ID parameter rather than just a generic ID parameter. So make sure we keep our error messages in sync. So now that we've got a handle on our availability, it's filling that in, but it doesn't realize Copilot. Copilot uselessity. It doesn't realize that we're using an object parameter. Just one of those hallucinations from that. Now we need to guard this force parameter. So what were we doing last time? We used tenant user. So if What? You so silly, Copilot. Come on. Auto import, please. Thank you. And we want super user and administrator. Sure. If not that, includes that. If force and wait a second. Really, nobody else should be able to use this status root. Leaving off the concept of canceling. Nobody else should use this status root if, yeah, you're not an admin or super user, so you cannot change. Blah, 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 blah. Cool. That's that. Await that because that is going to be asynchronous because we're going to set messages, send messages eventually. Yeah, even though we're returning the patch now, not awaiting it, I want to eventually await this, then send notifications. That's, again, a little bit later down the road. So set the status. Yes, Lynn, thank you. All right, so our change availability status root is good. Now, one thing we got to do is expose this in our requests. Work request. We publish these, again, this isomorphic request. Our shared floor has a requests set in here, and this is where we define the various routes available. You can see we have a whole bunch of different routes here. Not going to go on all this right now, but this is great because we can import this and just use this to call the routes on the front end. Let's look at our availability area here. Change that request shape. That's good for now. Yes. No, we're not going to bother getting into the weeds on that right now. That should be suitable for exposing it there. Now we need to map that into the web server. Get availability, get rid of list. Change equals. Go. That's good there. And then upserver. Perfecto. Perfectamundo. That should be enough to map it into the web server. Let's restart our web server. First, let's apply the schema. Lovely. Alter the availability table. Now let's restart the web server. Control C that. Make sure we know code errors, and we're going to stop fold laundry and come go more later. The rest of this really will be, we still do have a little bit more back-end work. That will be to integrate the availability into the calendar events and join that so they can be shown on the admin side. But we didn't have any errors on load, no code errors, and availability service or the work schedule service loaded properly wherever it is in here. No errors there. This is called and weighted, so we are good to go. We're going to pause this now, and I'm going to do whip commit. You really shouldn't be doing this. The only time I even encourage this is when I'm stepping away from the keyboard, but I've got a good chunk done. AI. Availability models updated, routes added for upsert change status. Just marking this in the repo, in my local Git repo, Git clone, not pushing it because there's really no value in pushing it. I'm just doing a whip commit there so we mark the time. So that concludes this first episode of the Watch Me Code. I'm going to pull in and stop the stream now. Thank you everybody for watching. I will try and increase the stream resolution next time. And by next time, I mean in a few hours. Cheers. Or as I like to say, cheers and crackers. Bye.